it's Sarah again. Sarah's Singing Dog vlog number... I've no idea. I've completely forgotten. I should really have looked it up, shouldn't I, before I started. Never mind. Anyway, I'm back. I'm doing another song and I'm going to chat about harnesses. But I'm going to plough straight into the song because it's quite a hard one and you might want to turn your volumes down a little bit because otherwise it's going to, mess with your speakers. Oh, I'm going to put the intro on because it's a really long intro, okay? I don't want to be stood there for half an hour. I'm going to talk through the intro just for a little bit. Okay, so this is Carrie from Carrie, the musical, which is also a book and a movie. The musical's incredible. Anyway, this is the title song, and you have to imagine during this intro that you have to imagine I'm a lot younger. I'm a high school kid, and there's kids teasing me, throwing things at me, and calling me names. That's not my name! Doesn't anybody ever get it right? Carrie! When will they remember I am Carrie White? Carrie! Is it any harder to say than goddamn total spastic and weirdo and dumb bitch? Doesn't anybody think that I can hear? I hear! Especially when I've got them screaming in my ear. I hear! Every day they mock me and push me around till I drop. If I had a wish, God, I wish they'd stop. When will they? I wish they'd. When will they? When will they? When will they? Sometimes their hatred is out of control. God, how they hurt me. Mama said suffering is good for the soul, but they hurt me. And if I could, I'd bring them all down to their knees. I'd make them sorry forever for teasing Carrie, Carrie, Carrie. I will not cry, I am okay. I try so hard to play their way. Why do they find it so hard to say? Carrie, why do they always treat me so bad? They all know my name, it's Carrie. I don't know why they all get so mad. It's always the same. What's going on deep in me? All of these feelings suddenly. If I am changing, will I still be Carrie? Oh, what if I am somebody new? Imagine the things I might do. I might take a chance. I've always wondered how. Or maybe I'll dance and try hard to laugh more than I do now. And the world will open its eyes, and for once the whole world will recognize Carrie. Then all those people who scream night and day, poor praying Carrie, they'll see the new me, and they might even say, look, it's Carrie. And finally I hear that word sounding so sweet, thousands of voices forever repeating, Carrie, Carrie, Carrie. I am the sound of distant thunder, a color, a flame. I'm Carrie. I am the sound of endless wonder that no one will claim, but someday, oh my, someday, someone will know my name. Okay, Need to get my breath back a minute. Okay, harnesses. So, harnesses. Okay, first thing. I don't like them, so this is going to explain why I don't like them and why, ideally, I don't think you should be using one with your dog. However, before I start, before anybody gets annoyed before I've even begun, the first thing I want to say, if your dog is walking beautifully on a harness, and by beautifully I mean it's walking nicely to heel, it's not in front of you, there's no tension whatsoever on the lead, and your dog has no reactivity, aggression, nervous issues whatsoever, then please don't change anything. That I'm perfectly happy with. That is my idea of a dog that's great, well behaved, no problems. Stick with your harness, okay? However, that I've just described is actually extremely rare. I think I've maybe seen it once or twice in my life as a dog trainer, okay? Which is why I have a big hang up about harnesses. I'm going to try and keep this brief because I know some of these videos I've been told go on far too long, so I'm going to try and be quick, so forgive me if I'm talking fast, to try and be quick. Okay, so if your dog's walking fine, totally slack lead, no issues whatsoever, stick with your harness. If it's not, which is much more likely, the first thing you need to be aware about harnesses is there's a big drive at the moment to say that harnesses are kinder than controlling at the neck with a collar or a slip lead or anything else. And I need to dispel that nonsense. Harnesses are not kinder, all right? If your dog is pulling continually, which is what I see the majority of dogs doing when they're on a harness, then that dog is hurting, for want of a better word. It's certainly in discomfort, okay? What I tend to see with dogs that wear harnesses all the time and pull a lot, or even dogs that don't pull that much but still lunge every now and again, is they get friction burns, their skin gets very sore, their fur gets rubbed off, they get little marks, they can get rashes, they can even bleed, so skin not good with a harness. The other thing is if you've ever worn a heavy backpack for any length of time, even for maybe an hour walking with a backpack on, unless you're like an incredible fitness buff that does running with backpacks and everything and it doesn't bother you, the vast majority of people, I think you would say, if you walked with a backpack on for any length of time, you're going to come back and your shoulders and your back are going to be hurting. Now imagine somebody's pulling on that backpack the whole time as you're walking and tell me that that's not going to hurt, okay? So as far as I'm concerned, harnesses are not remotely kind. Okay, again, unless your dog is walking beautifully, perfectly, totally slack lead. But if there's tension on the lead, that harness will be hurting, will be causing skin problems, and will be hurting shoulders, back, joints, and probably in a lot of cases do long-term damage to the dog. So not kind at all, as far as I'm concerned. Secondly, have I made 2 points or 3? I can't remember. I'm going to run out and probably say B or C in a minute. Anyway, next thing. If your dog is walking beautifully to heel on anything, whether it be a harness or a slip lead or even a choke chain, not that I'm a massive fan of those, but don't really have a problem, again, if your dog is walking beautifully on it without pulling, without any tension. All right? So anything, no tension, no issues, not hurting your dog. So in that case, everything is kind, providing the dog is walking nicely, okay? Which leads me nicely on to my next point, which is about training lovely heel work in the first place, which you can't really do on a harness. All right, so if you want to have that beautiful heel work, yes, there's going to be exceptions to this. There's going to be dogs that walk lovely on harness and dogs that have never pulled in their life, that have always just been happy to trot along. But that is actually quite rare. Okay, been doing this a long time, and yeah, that is very rare. So if you want to teach the nice heel work, you can't actually do that with a harness because you can't correct with a harness. Okay, so you're going to end up with the dog wanting to pull anyway. Whereas if you've got something around the neck, you can actually give a little correction. Now by correction, I don't mean something that's strangling the dog. Absolutely not. Nobody wants that. I just mean a tiny little jerk that takes place in less than a second, and then you're back to a slack lead. So again, if the dog is walking nicely, it's been trained to walk to heel, it's walking nicely on a slack lead, all of these things that you're being told are unkind, then well, they can't be. All right, I've had people tell me that collars are unkind, that slip leads, rope leads are unkind, choke chains, yeah, maybe I've got a slight issue with those. But again, slack lead, not unkind. They're not doing anything. No, if your dog is walking lovely and the lead is slack, nothing is hurting, there's no pressure anywhere, how can it be unkind? All right, so that's point number 2, I think. The other thing, the big reason that you can't really do heel work with a harness very well is because of what harnesses fundamentally are. They were created, invented, whatever word you want to use, to help dogs to pull and to put the dog in charge of the walk. So just think about it logically for a minute. We use harnesses for sled dogs, and we use them for dogs that do tracking and scenting and search and rescue and anything where we want the dog to tell us which direction to go in. So the dog is leading us, we want them on a harness, because that harness actually tells them straight away that they're in charge and they're leading. As soon as they've got it on, we've given them their head, for want of a better term. We use that term with horses, when you're letting the horse dictate, but with dogs it's a similar sort of thing. You put them in a harness, they go into work drive, they go into I'm in charge, and their head will generally go down, because it can with a harness, because there's nothing stopping it at the neck. So you've got all these problems straight away before you even set off, that the dog wants to pull because the harness is helping it, because it's across its chest where all its pulling power is, and the dog also wants to lead you, wants to be in charge. So you've already got the dog pulling and controlling you instead of the other way around. So 2 very unhelpful things if you're trying to teach heel work. Okay, and then the third point goes back to what I was saying before about you can't do a correction, because if you pull on a harness, the dog just pulls harder against you and ends up pulling more. That's how we teach dogs to pull a sled. Okay, we take up the slack, they fight against it, and then, oh look, they're pulling and they get a nice treat. So yeah, really tricky to correct on a harness. The dog wants to be in charge, the dog wants to pull. All right, so we've got those issues straight away anyway. Now, going back to what I was saying earlier about giving them a little correction if they are walking ahead, I think this is where people have come up with the idea that controlling at the neck isn't kind, because they've probably seen or even had a dog themselves where they haven't learnt the technique properly, and the dog is just pulling on this lead round its neck and essentially being strangled, or having a collar getting pushed into its windpipe, making the horrible choking noise, and instantly you can tell that dog's not comfortable, it might be in pain, even though it's generally not stopping the dog, and it possibly can even do damage to their windpipe. So I understand why people then get nervous about it, but that is not the fault of controlling around the neck. That is just whoever is walking that dog having not learnt how to walk a dog properly. That's not the same thing. So you can't blame a tool, is what I'm saying. You can't say that the tool itself is unkind. It's not. It's how you're using it. So yes, if your dog is pulling constantly and strangling itself, making choky noises, that's not good. No one wants that. But if that's happening, don't put it on a harness, because then you're just switching the damage from the neck to other parts of the body. It's not, you're not being kinder, you're just moving the damage around, hurting the dog somewhere else. Okay, so if that's happening, just call somebody, call a trainer, call a behaviourist, call me, call someone to come and help you. All right, because that's technique, it's not the tool that's unkind, it's just the person not understanding the technique of teaching heel work properly. If you teach heel work properly with something around the neck, there's no cruelty, there's no unkindness, there's no damage being done. It is perfectly kind. The dog is just learning how to walk nicely to heel. Okay, so that's that. Finally, one last thing that I just want to talk about with harnesses is aggression, reactivity, nervousness. If you have an anxious, nervous, reactive, aggressive dog, or any combination or one of those, walking on a harness will make that worse. Okay, that's a fact. It's actually incredible how many dogs I've been out to that are reactive. Not so much with the aggression, although it helps massively, but I have been able to completely cure reactivity just by switching a dog from a harness onto a slip lead. And I'm talking an instant fix that people tell you is impossible. Now, obviously, there'll be underlying things that take longer, but the fix of my dog barks at everything it sees when it's on a harness to we put a slip lead on and we go out for a walk and the dog barks at nothing. And I've done that countless times in behaviour sessions with owners with their jaws dropped because they can't believe it's the same dog, because their dogs never walk like that. And all I have done is removed the harness and put something around the dog's neck. Okay, so yeah, I'm not saying that if your dog's got behavioural problems, that's all you need to do. Of course, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that for that sort of simple reactivity, although you're going to need to do other things to help the dog not to be so nervous, that can be fixed really very, very quickly. Not every time, but a lot. Okay, sometimes we need extra things as well, extra help with that. But yeah, like I say, countless times I've been out and done that. So again, this is because the harness puts your dog in charge. All right, most dogs don't want to be in charge. It's the last thing they want. So being in charge makes them nervous. So then when they see something that makes them more nervous, they think they've got to deal with that, because you've told them they're in charge of this walk, which means they've got to look after themselves, they've got to look after you, and that's scary. You know, that's not what they want. Whether they're a Rottweiler, whether they're a little Jack Russell, doesn't matter what size they are, most dogs don't want that. They want you to be telling them, it's fine, it's just a post box, don't bark at it, it's fine, it's just a man in a hat. You know, the dogs are freaked out by the weirdest things that we don't understand, but a lot of it is because we're not advocating for our dog. We're not going, oi, don't be silly, don't have to worry about that, it's just a man in a high-vis jacket, he's alright, stop being daft. But you can't do in a harness, because you've just told the dog that it's got to take control of that situation for you. Which is why you see so many people braced like this with 2 hands and a dog on 2 legs on a harness. I see it a lot. It drives me up the wall. So yeah, if you've got an anxious, nervous, reactive, aggressive dog, please take the harness off straight away, and please get some help, obviously. But the harness is not going to be helping those things. It's definitely going to be making them worse. All right, so I think I've covered everything. I hope I've been quick enough. Please like, share and subscribe to Sarah's Singing Dog Vlog, and have a check out of our website, which is thepetexperience.co.uk, and our Facebook page, which is TPE Training and Behaviour Limited. We have an advice line. We do all sorts of puppy behaviour work, dog behaviour work and training classes. So if you're within any of our areas, which are huge, please give us a ring. And yeah, I'll see you soon for the next one.